last month I closed at a little over 54% in my agency, meaning that a little bit over half of every call that I jumped on that was qualified ended up closing for $3,000 to $4,000 upfront. And this call that you're about to watch is one of those calls that we did end up closing. So you guys will be able to watch everything, see how simple my process actually is, so you guys can really just implement it for yourself. Keep in mind, I'm not a sales expert or anything like that. This is just what's working for me in my agency right now. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy the video. Any questions, put them in the comments below or shoot me a DM on Instagram and I'll be able to help out there. Enjoy the video.
There we go. There we go. All right, we got both of you guys here. Can hear you, see you. Everything's all good. Ready to jump into things?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I guess for a bit of context, let me pull this up here. So you spoke with Louis this morning, I'm assuming, because the meeting I
Correct.
saw was just booked in. And you guys kind of spoke, gave him kind of the gist of everything you guys got going on. And then what he did is he kind of grabbed all that, gave that to our backend team, and had them kind of really take a deeper dive into your area in the time since you guys have spoken.
Right.
And what they do is they kind of take a look at one, what your competitors are doing. That's working really well for them. Any kind of back end data that we can see because we're on the whole marketing side of things, as well as pretty much what we can see comparing your market to like markets like across the US with other clients we're working with.
Right.
And what we do with all that is we create a custom kind of game plan or roadmap of what we're going to do for your situation to help you guys scale, bring in some more work, things like that. What
Awesome.
actually happened though with your market, because it is a little bit interesting, we actually came up with 3 or 4 different options that all will work. Those will just depend on what you guys already kind of got situated. And then from there, we'll be able to choose which direction is actually going to be the best fit. And then as soon as we get there, I'll just show you that one. So I guess in order to get there,
Perfect.
we kind of go through a few questions, maybe challenges you've been running into, things you've tried, where you want to go, things like that. And then from there,
Absolutely.
I'll know what's the best fit and we'll do it.
Okay. Sounds great.
Perfect. Yeah, I guess I'll turn it back over to you guys then. I mean, what's been going on lately that has us talking here today? How can I help you guys out?
Well, we have been working for the last 3 years on word of mouth and referrals. We've been blessed
Okay.
with just being able to continue our company with just people speaking highly about us and moving forward
Cool.
that way. We have only tried marketing, advertising once before, and we didn't really have the best luck of it. Or twice, I guess, so to speak. But they
Okay.
just weren't the best avenues that we went with. They didn't help us that much. We were finding a lot of leads that were dead ends, no shows, really didn't even qualify for a roof replacement at all. So it was almost a
Hmm.
waste of time having him running around the greater Sacramento area for no reason. So
Oh,
we
okay.
decided, just to keep off of that and wait to see really what caught our eye, and you did. And just seeing what you had in store and what your advertising was brought to the table, we were really interested. And that's kind of
Okay.
where we wanted to, see what more you had and if it
Yeah, for
fit
sure.
with what we worked with.
Yeah, we can jump into all that stuff, which is cool. And I guess so all of your work right now is coming from word of mouth then? You don't have any other
Yeah.
sources? Okay. And Louis said that's bringing in like 5, 6 deals a week or a month?
Yeah, I'm on.
A month. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. We're
And
pretty much ready to kind of take it to the next level. So,
okay, for
the,
sure. And
the
then
first,
with what you guys had tried in the past, can you give me a rundown of what you guys did? Was it Angie's? Was it something similar? What did you guys
so
try?
yeah, it was, I don't know if you're familiar. So our first year in business, we got hit, it kind of put a bad taste in our mouth for marketing. So we held off for a while. It was with
And what
a
did you try
company.
then?
It was, are you familiar with 411 locals?
Hmm.
Yeah, it was them. So they gave us a good spiel, and I'm not too tech savvy myself. So I was like, cool, if you want to establish an online presence for us, make us a website. Like, that's awesome. There was a couple things though. Well, not a couple, there was a lot of things. The website down to the URL had nothing to pertain to our business. Not even our business name
Oh,
was in it.
really?
Yeah, it was just the town we were living in, contractor.com. And then the website just looked kind of janky, I guess you could say. All the pictures and everything on that website was totally not affiliated with us. It was all pictures from work we don't even do here in the States, like pictures of jobs done in England. And you could just tell they were just, generic photos. So
Okay.
I felt like that was the first red flag. And we already
Hmm.
told them we did have a website and we were satisfied with that website at the time. So,
Okay.
and
So
then
they were brought on more for like SEO, or what was it specifically that they said they would do to help? Were they doing leads, or was it just like, hey, a website, and then people will fill it out, and or
yeah,
what
so
was their spiel?
it was supposed to be an SEO and then start
Hmm.
getting establishing our online presence on Google.
Okay.
And through them, another thing, what was it? On the Google profile, when they look up our company, they put down their phone number. So when we were getting calls or people would call, it would go to them and then they would
Hmm.
transfer the call to us. And
Okay.
before I kind of caught on to that, we were doing a job in Lake Tahoe area. And
Okay.
we had a yard sign out front. Neighbor across the street was trying to call. So she looked us up on Google, used the Google profile, used that number. But on my end, when I got the calls, it said scam likely. So
Mm.
I noticed I felt like something was up when that number called me like 7 times in one day. So I finally answered. And it was 411 local saying they're trying to patch through a client. So I thought that
Mm.
was weird. They said it was for them to determine if the job was fit for us or not. Um, and
Okay.
but it didn't, their leads were, I guess you could say they weren't qualified, kind of just a lot of tire kickers. Um, and it wasn't, I mean,
No shows.
no shows. We tried to terminate with them, I would say rather quickly. Once it took like a couple months to get going. And then once
Okay.
it got going, it was,
A nightmare.
yeah, it was bad.
So it
We
got to a point where you guys were getting good volume. It's just the volume wasn't solid,
Well,
or
actually, I would say it's okay. 411 locals, I would say really didn't bring anything to the table for us. Um, we, it just wasn't a good fit. We didn't like the website and they didn't want to switch it to ours. I didn't like them taking on the calls and their call
mm.
center just sound like another country.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so there was
There wasn't clear communication on how the lead process was going to go necessarily. It wasn't kind of explained correctly. It was more so we're going to have your website put up. We're going to be the one kind of filtering in and out of the leads, and we will be pushing them to you guys. And at the end of the
Okay.
day, it was, they created their own website. They had a lot of the control. There was a
Mm.
lot of things that we weren't agreed upon before it happened. And so then once it did happen, we were like, wait, no, this is not what we do. This is not what what we actually bring to the
Okay. And
table.
there's just
So
a
it was
lot of
kind of a
misrepresentation
miscommunication.
for not even the quality that you guys would have hoped out of it.
Exactly.
absolutely,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then
Gotcha. And then go ahead.
the second time going around was a buddy of mine from high school started
Okay.
doing marketing. So I was like, we held off for a year because the 411 locals, it was a nightmare trying to recover our Google business page or our Google profile.
Yeah.
Um, I thought we would just be able to make a new one. Google was like, no, there's one in your area. It was almost a full year to recover that. 411 locals did not want to cooperate. I think we finally obtained the profile. Google had them surrender it. We had to get our attorney involved, but that was
Damn.
August of last year. So we've only had our Google profile for coming up to a year. Um,
Okay.
which we like that a lot better than Yelp because Yelp takes down a lot of reviews.
Hmm.
So I think we have all 5 stars right now, about
Okay.
31.
So
But
that's been our main.
yeah, that's where we're really trying to we want to establish that because when we started going with my buddy to do
Yeah.
the marketing, he I knew him, so I trusted him. But
Right.
unfortunately, everything his leads, the way they came in, so he helped us out with the the SEO, was trying
Hmm.
to do, and I'm sorry, a lot of this stuff's kind of over the top of my head, all the
Yeah, no,
terms.
I got you. You know so much more than the majority of people. You jumped on the Zoom. It worked within the first 2 minutes. Sometimes
Oh,
it takes
nice,
10 minutes
nice.
just to get that set up. So you guys are like some people we work with, they're so off the radar that they just know they need to check their phone for the text for the appointments. They show up at the address and they close, and it works for them. So
Wow, nice.
you're doing fine.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
Because yeah, so and then his started coming in. We started getting leads, and I mean, we worked with him for about 6 months, and
Okay.
his leads were the ones that were mostly no shows, tire kickers, people totally. It just didn't seem like they were qualified leads. I think out of
Mm,
the 6 months we tried working with him, we closed
hmm.
2 deals and very minor ones, very small jobs, and I think we were paying him a decent amount per month.
Mhm.
To get going, I think we were paying like 2,500 a month, and
Okay.
I
And he
think
was
kind of
doing just SEO for you, but you also said no shows. Was he booking appointments? Was there were
so
other leads, or how did that work?
the leads would come in through our website. So website, and there's a little box in our website asking for a quote, and then that would just give us the contact info from their email,
Mm,
phone
okay.
number.
We would generate a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then get sent
Okay.
over to us, and we would follow up and then schedule the appointment.
Okay.
Basically, he handled our Google profile, like responded to the reviews, um, built another website for us. So that's the current
Okay.
website we have now.
Gotcha.
Um, and that's kind of pretty much it. He created his own CRM, but because he's just a one man guy, and it's just
It just was, once again, it was a good profile. It was great working with him, but again, it didn't generate anything. I think it brought 2 deals to the table out of that time being.
Hmm.
It was still, all of our work was coming from word of mouth and referrals. And I was kind of seeing it to
Okay.
be where it wasn't even really making sense for us to continue working.
Right. If it's not
And
bringing in money,
yeah,
why kind of continue?
exactly, exactly. If it was generating, because right now our guys are flying through the work that we have right now to where we're like, okay, we can actually start taking on more if we had, a lead source coming in some way or shape or form,
it's marketing.
because we are, flying through our work. So at this point, we're kind of like, what makes sense for us? We are a small mom and pop shop, yet we
Hmm.
are still able to push out a decent amount of work a month, where now we're like, okay, we can open up some more doors and avenues for this.
Okay. For sure. Solid. Okay. And then about, I guess, working with him, leads would come through, and then you guys would be calling him, and then they just weren't interested, and then they would no show from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would make the initial call after the lead would
Hmm.
come in. Sometimes sometimes the messages say text or email only, some preferred calls. So we
Okay.
would set them up. Uh, phone calls, I guess you could say, be like 50-50 who would answer. Emails, majority of
Okay.
the emails never got back to us. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
we would set up the initial appointment, show up, and yeah, I would, a lot of them were just no shows, or you could tell they weren't
Interested,
serious,
yeah.
and and that's what I told them, it's just,
Or we're dealing with like a lot of renters who are upset with their roofs, and we're like, unfortunately,
Oh,
it's not
yeah,
you
they
who we
just
can
don't have the
deal with.
buying power to make any decision.
Exactly. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's all kind of those wins where you have to kind of filter through them and kind of get a better idea of really what they're looking for and if it actually fits what we can provide. And that's kind of where we
Okay.
were realizing, like, okay, we're fishing a lot and nothing's really biting. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay. And then I guess speaking of fishing, I heard you guys mention Yelp and maybe a couple other things. Have there been other things you've been looking into? Maybe other things you've tried that even if for a little bit didn't go too well?
no. So Yelp, we turned our Yelp off, to be honest. So we're located just outside Sacramento, here in
Yeah.
California.
Hmm.
So Yelp would bring in a lot of like Bay Area, San Francisco jobs, and like very minor.
Okay. That's
Even
still
though
a bit
our
of a drive from Sac, right?
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Yeah, because
it
I was
was
just up there last week, and that's a trek.
Yeah.
That
It
yeah,
would
that is not
definitely.
close.
happen.
And so like when I'd
Hmm.
go out there to bid, I just can't compete with the local guys because we have to charge accordingly, travel
Hmm.
fee, lodging fee, because the traffic would be a nightmare for guys to drive back and forth. So
Yeah.
just it's the market down there is super, super competitive. And just, with us being as far away as we are, we can't compete with the local guys. Um, so
Okay.
another
So
thing we
Yelp
did
was just kind of out of the way.
yeah, and just a lot of the same. I mean, we weren't spending a lot with Yelp. I
Hmm.
think we were only spending like 1,200 a month, but we were never getting projects in our area, never in Sacramento. It was either up towards Tahoe, which we've done a lot of work in the Tahoe and surrounding areas up there, and
Okay.
those worked out for us.
Well, and I think our problem too with Yelp, it wasn't so much of getting leads. It was when we would get our reviews, when people would post reviews, our clients, some of
Hmm.
them would be taken down. They would be filtered to where they were flat. They were,
They said so. Yelp, the representative for Yelp said if the user that left the review wasn't an avid Yelp
yes,
user,
that's what it was.
they would move the reviews to a non-recommended section. So you could still find them if you scrolled at the bottom of our page. But
It
I
was,
didn't like that
it was
because
weird
they're legitimate reviews.
and
And
great
And then we
reviews
just
too.
hide them.
yeah,
Yeah, and it was just kind of weird. And I mean, I guess they wanted people to continuously use Yelp. They want theirs to be at the top, but it was just because they put them down in a non-recommended category, which we thought was very odd. So we're like, we really push our clients to our Google. Like, please leave our reviews to our Google because those never got filtered. Those aren't picked and choose
Right.
through. So we kind of steered away from Yelp after that because that kind of left a weird taste in our mouth. We were like, that's unfair,
oh yeah,
So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of where we kind of left with Yelp because that was just where we thought, we were getting some, we're good, but the reviews just weren't working with us. So,
yeah. And we've never tried like a Angie's or Nextdoor, Thumbtack. None of those we've never tried. A lot of
Okay.
just been told from previous like a lot of my old bosses that it's just those are just kind of a waste. They send the same lead
Yeah.
to probably like six, five other contractors, so
Yeah.
you're in a bidding war against a bunch of guys.
Yeah. It's a weird game to play. I never went into it either when I was doing more home service stuff, and I'd heard the same thing from a couple of my other buddies, and that's kind of how I got into this. I was like, well, Angie's doesn't work, and then I just started looking things up and did it for myself, and then eventually for other people, and now we're here. So
Awesome. Because you've
Angie's
been
kind of
popping up on my social media feeds for
yeah.
a long time now, and I've been like, yeah, I was finally telling. I seen it yesterday. I was like, we just need to do it. Let's hit these guys up. Let's see if we can make it happen because we're at that point where we're just word of mouth isn't enough now.
we're just flying through it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to keep the guys busy. What really caught my eye was the ad that popped up where you're at RiffCon and saying
Oh
how
yeah, yeah.
you're actually there. Other companies and that have burned people don't show up, which is true. And we've been burned. So I was like, that's what really caught my eye right there.
We're a very mom and pop shop. We're very, we like to have that connection and that relationship with not only,
That's
our
good. Yeah.
contractors or fellow, workers and employees, but like our
Hmm.
clients as well. We're very hands-on and we don't have salesmen and anybody like that. He is the contractor, the salesman in the face. So it's kind of like
Okay.
one of those things where we are what it is. So we like to learn everything and all the aspects of the trade and the business in
Yeah.
the whole. So we're very
Exactly.
we love to work directly with people. So we thought it was really cool that we were able to connect with you personally to kind of, really get the understanding of how this all goes and if it does
Hmm.
work.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I kind of kept it that way too, because I have buddies who have kind of gone the route of going for a billion different clients and just as many as they can, as many in whatever given area, and just kind of expand, and then they become like their own Angie's competitor, which is cool, I guess. But for me, I would rather kind of have fewer clients, but kind of have a pricing structure that allows me to like, as I'm bringing you guys more work, I can have fewer clients and still have the same benefit of doing that. And that way I can still know everyone who I'm working with. We Nobody really gets lost in everything because with other things, like I didn't end up going with Angie's, but when I was trying it, like I didn't even speak to the same like customer service rep more than once. Like it was just a different person every time. And then even with other companies, like the response time would be a while or they wouldn't. I don't know, there were a lot of like non-human aspects that I didn't like, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, that was really, really different for this. And it's weird that most companies don't do that because when you treat people like that, they just don't leave and you have to, you don't have to keep pushing to get clients all the time. Which is why we have it the way we do. So with that being said though, and everything, I think I got a pretty decent understanding of your guys' situation. From what it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm going to try and do a little summary, make sure I know where we're at. You guys are currently doing 5, 6 deals a month at this point. We're just trying to get to the point where we can kind of give the guys a little bit more work as they're kind of running through everything you guys have coming through right now from word of mouth and Google. And then before those two, you had kind of tried it with your buddy. It was cool. It was better than 401 locals, but not really too much ROI seemed to come from it. It wasn't the highest intent. It wasn't the best, um, I guess, representation of your work. Or if there were jobs that could have been sold, maybe from Yelp, they were just too far away for your pricing to be competitive. And you guys had to kind of bid accordingly, which kind of puts you out of the running for all of that. And then aside from that, you kind of held off until you kind of see something where you can really, I guess, partner with them, kind of grow together, work side by side, fully everything transparent, and just kind of scale it from there while still keeping your integrity of the company, not kind of over bloating things where you guys can still be the face of everything. Is that it? I'm trying to improve my
Absolutely.
memory and all
Yeah.
that. Okay.
No, that's
Okay.
yeah, spot on.
Cool. All right. Good. Gotcha. And you guys definitely aren't the coconut trucks who I occasionally speak to, or just running around storm chasing and then leaving in 2 seconds. So that's beneficial as well for us.
Awesome.
Um, but cool. Yeah, so that's correct. There's nothing else you'd like to add in as far as what you've tried or anything else?
Yeah.
Nope, I think
You
yeah,
got it.
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. With that being said though, I think we're gonna go with that fourth game plan that we have put together for you guys. Let me go ahead and pull it up
Okay.
right here.
Cool.
And then just feel free to stop me at any time, just so I can go over anything again.
Okay.
Did you guys get a chance to watch that video that Louis sent over?
No, we ended up getting stuck on another phone call once we jumped off with him, and unfortunately, did you end up watching it for a quick sec?
It's
I
all good.
watched.
I'll just go into a little bit more detail.
Okay,
You watched a
sorry
bit of
about
it,
that.
Yeah.
or
No, I don't think I didn't receive it. He told me to check for it to let him know,
Mhm.
but it
Okay,
didn't come through. I watched the 3 videos when we booked through Facebook
okay,
yesterday.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. Let me go ahead and pull this up then, and we can just go into it, and I'll kind of explain what I went over in the video. You guys can see this all right?
Yeah.
I know you haven't done too many things like this in the past, so we'll open the floor to, I guess, whatever questions you guys have on anything, and then we can kind of go through that.
You have any questions?
No, no. I mean, I like what we heard.
He's
I mean,
excited. He's been
yeah.
waiting to do this, so it's been kind
That's
of one of
cool.
those things where I just wanted to kind of get a good feel before I said yes. And advertising and marketing, I think when you go with a company, it's kind of stressful and you kind of have to
For
read
sure.
and do your research, and the
Hmm.
skeptic is there. But I was excited to, after he made me watch your videos and everything yesterday and how he talked about you and seeing you at RoofCon and the conventions. We come from a long background of this. I come from solar and he comes from the roofing for 15 years. So I've
Okay.
seen the cold calls. We've come from all different backgrounds of it. So we kind of understand how
Hmm.
it goes. So we
Yeah.
also know like all the other weird and, crappy
Yeah.
things about it all too. So I'm like, okay, I really wanted to get a good feel and I'm really excited for this because I do feel like this is going to be a really good thing. I think our team is ready for it. They're, asking for more work. And that was another thing too, was I think we needed to get a handle on the workflow that we already had. And now that we have really flown through it, and the guys that we see the quality and the consistency, we're ready to take on that. So opening this door with you is exciting. And I think that we're ready for a lead source that, we've been holding off for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. I'm glad I passed your people checker. I checked out, which is cool. Yeah, it's very weird the amount of people who didn't want to go to RoofCon because Hunter, the guy who kind of puts it together, he had seen one of our ads. It's like, Levi, we gotta get you out here. You gotta pull up to RoofCon. It's like, okay, cool. So we went out to Florida for the week, and he gave us a bunch of extra tickets. I had like 10 extras with the VIP passes and everything. And I have like other marketing buddies and everything. It's like, yo, come by. Like, I got you. We'll give you the ticket, get the whole access to everything. And they're like, nah, I can't go. It's like, why? And it's like, there's some people there I don't really want to run into. And I was like, damn. So that's why I made that ad. I was just messing with my friends because they see the same ads too. And I'm there at my booth and they didn't have a booth. It was funny and it's real. Like they didn't want to go because they kind of burned some people. And like, yeah, we don't have 100% success. No one does in any business ever, but we have 100%, like, no one hates us. We're working through everything. Like I said, with communication, it never gets to the point where that's even a possibility. So I guess with that being said, I can kind of get into pricing unless you have anything else you want to go over.
No, that's absolutely sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay, for sure. Let's do it. Let me pull this up here, and we should be good. So there are three different aspects to the pricing. The first of which is ad spend. This is going to be. Are you guys at all familiar with the term and all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be slightly different than SEO, where it's just kind of putting energy into the website to make it better. With this one, it's the money that actually goes into the platform, specifically in this case, Facebook, to do that. So we're going to hook up to your Facebook page, do all of that good stuff, and we're going to put $50 a day into ad spend. And this is the money that goes to the platform, gets our team the leads that we then call and qualify and do all of that other good stuff. It's not something we profit from. It all goes to Zuckerberg to do whatever he wants to do with it. We do require a minimum of 50 per day. And then almost every single one of our clients, as soon as they see that positive ROI in the first few weeks, month, 2 months, whatever, then they raise to 100, 200, however much volume they need for their guys. This is kind of the lever we can pull to bring in more work, which is why I guess in your case, where even if SEO did work or Google Ads does work or word of mouth does work, you're kind of capped at a certain mark. This is kind of what allows us to turn it to that next level. Once you get to the point, it's some more work, kind of get everything all settled, you get used to that. Once you come back, okay, we want to kind of take it to the next level. This is where we sit down, and then we kind of raise it from there. But at first, it's only $50 a day. That make sense?
Cool. Yep.
Cool. All right. Second aspect of our pricing is our performance-based billing. So we only ever bill for appointments with the following criteria, kind of like I was talking about earlier. So they need to have the need for a replacement, not a repair or anything else like that. They need to be within your service area. So on the onboarding, we'll go through all of this together and get all that good stuff sorted. So you're not driving whatever 4 hours for an appointment. And then they have to show up to the appointment because we can help with that. And if they don't show, if they don't need a new roof, they're not in your area, you really can't make money from it. So as long as those check out, then that's what we bill for. And then we bill for the appointments that we have set and that have shown that took place, that you had that face-to-face meeting with, sat down at the kitchen table, all that good stuff on the Friday after the appointments have taken place as things go on. So that's how that works there. And then as far as the pricing and all that good stuff, it is expensive. It's probably more than you're thinking, but we can get into that right now. So with what we have for the price per appointment, it is $150, which is generally slightly more than Angie, slightly more than all of these other platforms. However, that's for a shown face-to-face meeting that has only gone to you. And then for us to settle this good stuff up to the service area, get the local numbers so we can call and it doesn't show up as spam risk and all of that other things that you kind of had already run into. It's $3,000 to us one time, plus that $50 a day in ad spend. All of this put together, the first month, you're generally on average seeing around 10 appointments a month in with that amount of ad spend, and then it kind of scales as you want to raise it. And then across all of our clients, we're seeing an average of 30% close rate. So some of those are store markets, some of those are more retail, and then obviously there's a bunch of guys with not the greatest closers. It's not the owner actually going out, which has kind of lowered a bit. So, but on average across everything, we're at around 1 in 3 kind of end up going through. So
Okay.
Okay.
this is the
Okay.
pricing. How's it seem? How's everything look from your end?
That actually
Yeah.
doesn't sound bad at all.
Yeah, no, I think it looks good.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Want to get it going?
So yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point right now,
Yeah.
it sounds good to me. I like everything that I see. I mean, my basis, once he gets in the door, I don't really have any problems. I'm good about him being a closer and him knowing. I think that's like when I say the mom pa. I think when you kind of get to know the contractor and not a salesman, you really get to understand like who's
There's a
going on your
difference.
roof. You know the
Yeah.
exact nitty gritties of everything, and that person that relationship is already initiated and it already starts. And so that's really what I love is just give me the appointments and we'll do the rest. So that
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions or concerns when it comes to that.
No, yeah, I like it. I think it sounds awesome. I have a great feeling about it. A lot better. I mean, way better than with my buddy from high school. That one, and I knew him personally. I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird. I just didn't have the right feeling. Like hear
Mm,
everything you've said, seeing your videos, everything. I like everything that I see and hear. So it's just, I mean, I got a good feeling about it. Got a good feeling about you. So I
cool.
think everything looks good on our end. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate it.
No, absolutely.
And
We appreciate your time.
thank you. With that being said, I guess we can go ahead and get this done. Kind of next steps from here is kind of go ahead and take care of the setup fee. Then we book the onboarding call with Ryan. He's going to get everything taken care of from the service area, making sure we're staying in that kind of local area, everything like that. And then him and the team, they take 1 or 2 days to get everything set up. Then we're live. And then you're going to get your first appointment within 10 days. So it's not like you're waiting 2, 3 months, like however you might have been in the past. It's
Okay.
10 days from there. And then from there, it's very consistently every few days, you got another appointment at that $50 spend. But obviously, we do have people that are getting a couple appointments a day as they've raised things. But I guess for right now, what we would do is we kind of get that setup fee taken care of, and then we book the onboarding. I can send an email over for a receipt. I think I have your email on file. It's like
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Let me go ahead and put that in. Okay. And then yeah, I guess card details whenever you're ready. We can punch that in.
So we ended up getting the close for $3,000, which is amazing. I think a lot of you guys being able to see how I actually go through things, even though I wasn't ready for the sales call and I looked absolutely awful throughout the whole Zoom, you're still able to close in that situation. And I think a lot of you guys are probably doing sales wrong. So this should help. If you guys do want more help to work one-on-one with me to scale, I do have a very small one-on-one mentorship program that I do run. It's pretty selective, but for the guys that are in there, they're doing really well. Shout out Carlos, bro, if you're watching this, bro closed 7 clients in the last week. And Ayush went from, I think, 15K to around 45K a month so far working with me. So we'll see where he ends up. Hopefully he can crack 50 soon. But yeah, we're keeping it small. No worries or whatever if you don't get in. Aside from that, subscribe, comment any questions, DM me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.